you can always customize the way WordPress handles the new posts that you create. And you can do so by going ahead and adjusting WordPress's writing settings. And that's what we'll take a quick look at here. I'm looking at my dashboard here, obviously. And what I want to do is down towards the bottom left, I'm going to go ahead and expand the settings category, the very last menu item there. And the guy that we're after is writing. So look for your writing sub-menu item, and that'll bring you into the writing settings field, or the writing settings screen, I guess I should say. Now, there's lots and lots to look at here. The first option here, size of the post box. What that is that's the size of the, you know when we were creating our posts not too long ago? Well, we had that body field, right? And that body field is actually pretty small. So what you can do is you can come here and you can increase the size of that body field, or that editor box, if that makes sense. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check this out. So the default is 10 lines, right? Let's make some kind of a dramatic change. I'm going to change this to 50 lines, right? And what I'll do is I'll just scroll all the way down to the bottom. Whenever you make a change inside this screen, you have to click on Save Changes. So scroll all the way down to the bottom and go ahead and click on Save Changes. And WordPress goes ahead and saves up the customization that you and I just made. Okay, now check this out. I'm going to go over to the left-hand side, expand posts, and I'm going to click on Add New. Okay, now give me a moment here. I'm just going to expand things out here. As always, we can see what's happening. This main field here is exactly what I'm talking about. If I scroll down here, look how huge this editor field now is, this main body field. It's massive, it's huge. Maybe it's too big, I don't know. But personally, I like a lot of elbow room when I'm creating my posts, especially my longer posts, right? And especially the posts that contain a lot of HTML, right? So give this a try, just so we really have this down. I'm going to scroll all the way back down underneath settings, and I'm going to go back to reading. Oh, sorry, it wasn't reading, it was writing that we wanted. Make sure you're in the writing screen there. And instead of 50 lines, maybe I'll cut that in half. I'll type in 25. And then don't forget, down at the very bottom of the screen, we have to click on Save Changes. Okay, so now the editor box is going to be 25 lines long. So, back underneath Posts, over on the left-hand side, let's click on Add New once again. And this main body field that we have here now is now half the height that it was just a moment ago. So it's entirely up to you how large you want to make this editing field. But as I say, I like mine nice and big, but that's just a personal choice. Okay, now let's go and take a look at some of the other options that we have back underneath settings. There we are. We're underneath our writing settings. Okay, some of our other options in addition to the size of our post box. Well, we have some formatting options. Convert emoticons like this guy and this guy to graphics or images within our post. So this is turned on by default. It's up to you. You can keep that turned on or you can turn it off. WordPress should correct invalidly nested XHTML automatically. That's not a bad idea to turn that guy on. So in other words, WordPress is going to automatically correct any errors inside your nested HTML. Now below that we have default post category, and we haven't talked about categories in much detail yet, but if I had several categories that I've already established for my blog, what I can do inside this area here is I can go and choose the default category that all new posts should be filed under. For example, one of the blogs that I run, I have a news and updates category, and that's my default category. So, in other words, if I forget to add on a category, or if I forget to apply a category for a post, I know that the post by default is going to wind up inside my news and updates category. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, when we get into categories, you might want to remember this option here and come back and set your default category. Below that, we also have our default link category. Again, we haven't talked about links too much. We know a little bit about our blog role, but again, you can choose your default link category here. So once we start talking about the blog role in more detail, and we start talking about creating links and link categories and so on, you may want to come back to this area and change that default link category. Okay, now below that we have some remote publishing options, which is extremely cool, by the way. So, to post to WordPress from a desktop blogging client or a remote website, you've got to set up these options here. Now, I don't do much remote publishing, but it is kind of cool. It's something that you might want to dig into here. It needs to use something called the Atom Publishing Protocol. So you might want to read up a little bit more on that, but it is possible to do it. And even cooler, if I continue scrolling down, we can actually create new posts via email, which is extremely cool. Again, not something that I've dug into too far myself, but it is possible if you want to dig into that further. And of course, all the way down at the bottom, don't forget, because people always forget, they don't click on Save Changes, so they wonder why their customizations have not been applied to their blog. Okay, so there's a look at the writing settings.